Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining. If you guys are new, hello, my name's Ella. I am a booktuber, obviously, and I'm based in the UK, and my main genre to talk about is fantasy, but I'm definitely open to so many genres of book. I also really love historical fiction and non-fiction and just a bit of everything, but on this channel you're probably mainly going to find me talking about fantasy, and that is what today's book talk tube video is actually about. It is specifically about books that are like other books. And I know that sounds a bit weird and crazy, but basically, I don't know about you guys, but there are some times when I get to the end of a series and I just don't know what to do with myself. I am stuck in some weird purgatory where I can't be happy until I find my next read, but I'm also so terrified to try and find my next read that I never end up finding it. So what I've done for today's video is I've gathered 3 different series that you can read if you really enjoy the Sarah J Maas series books, whether that is ACOTAR or Throne of Glass or Crescent City. And I'm kind of lumping them all together, but this is probably more directed towards ACOTAR and Crescent City. So if you like ACOTAR and Crescent City, you'll probably like what I have to offer. The first one I will recommend will be a little bit more Throne of Glass inspired, so there's a bit for everyone, but I kind of feel if you like any of Sarah J Maas, you will like these 3 series. So if you're like me and you have finished all her currently published books and you are waiting for the next Crescent City to come out at the beginning, so if you are like me and you are waiting with bated breath for the next Crescent City, which is being released at the beginning of 2024, so not long now, but you need something to fill up your days in the meantime, this video is for you. For these series, all 3 of these series are really strong on world building and character building, because I think that that is something that Sarah J Maas is phenomenal at. She is phenomenal at capturing us in her world and getting us to really fall for her characters. So that's what I've gone for. So without further ado, let's get going. The first books I'm going to talk about are the Folk of Air series by Holly Black. This is a YA, so if you are a particular fan of Throne of Glass, this series is for you. And although I believe this is now a 4-part, I've only read the first 3, which is this trilogy here, and I believe the 4th one is sort of more of an addition on to the original trilogy. Now, Cruel Prince is about a human called Jude who is living in the fairy realm because her dad is a fairy, and she is desperate to prove herself to... She's desperate to prove herself and to find a place in the society of the Fae that absolutely despise mortals. But the young Prince Cardan has other plans, and this definitely has some characters with some violent streaks, so if you're maybe a fan of Nesta, then this is probably a little down your alley, but it is very, very similar tropes-wise and sort of just feeling-wise. It has enemies to lovers, and it has a lot of violence. I like a violent main character. I feel this begins to be a theme with me, but anyway, this is a fabulous trilogy. I haven't yet done an in-depth review about this, so if that is something that you're interested in, comment Folk of Air down below and I can look into making a little trilogy or a little video about this trilogy. Next up is the From Blood and Ash series. I only have the first one in person, the rest I have on my Kindle, but this is another fantastic book. It's definitely adult fiction, this one, but this follows Poppy, who is waiting for her ascension, which is when... Let's read what I was supposed to say. So this is currently a 5-part series. There is a 6th one coming out, and there is also a prequel to this, which I did do a little bit of a review on both, so I will link those in the description and up above for you. I have to admit, I'm almost slightly more partial to the prequel series than to this one, but I love them all equally, but this is definitely a little more Sarah J Maas. It's phenomenal, and it's got a lot of violence again, but it is yet again about the world of Fae and about... It's definitely got a feisty female, which gives me Feyre vibes. It is very much about finding yourself and developing who you are, which are a lot of themes that are very similar to ACOTAR in particular. So the basic premise of From Blood and Ash is following Poppy, who has been chosen. She is the maiden who is prophesized to lead the world into a new era. Poppy's life has never been her own. The life of a maiden is solitary, never to be touched or spoken to or looked upon. Never to really experience any kind of pleasure. Whilst waiting for the day of her ascension, which is the time that will usher in this new era, Poppy would much rather be out fighting with the guards who are protecting the cities from the evil that she is supposed to help eradicate with her ascension. But that choice has just never been hers, and once the mysterious new royal guard Hawke enters her life, she begins to question everything around her. And when attacks from supernatural creatures begin to get more common, she has no choice but to trust him. I absolutely love this series. I would rave about this till the cows came home. And I think with the way that the prequel series is written, you're basically getting more of, not more of the same because they are different stories, but you're getting such an in-depth view about areas and characters that maybe you weren't expecting to get an in-depth view about, which I really, really enjoy. So I think the prequel has 3 out as of filming, and I think the end of October, which I believe this video will be out by then, but the end of October, the 4th one of the prequel will be out, and I believe at the beginning or early next year, the 6th installment of From Blood and Ash will be out. So keep an eye out for those. These are phenomenal reads and really fast paced. I absolutely devoured these. The only thing I'll say is once you get this, you'll realise it's a really weirdly sized book. Let me show you, one sec. This is my one thing. Be prepared if you buy the hardbacks. They're just not the same size. If you buy the paperbacks, they're just not the same size as a normal book, and that does frustrate me slightly, but that has nothing to do with the story. They are amazing stories. And the final one that I'm popping onto this list is the final series I'm popping onto this list is the Plated Prisoner series. And I am denied about popping this one on here, but ultimately decided to do so. There are currently 4 out, and the 5th one, Gold, comes out in the beginning of January. No, the very, very end of December, like the 31st of December. So it's very nearly complete as well, which is always nice because I am much more a fan of a completed series and being able to read it fully completed. This is a little bit more graphic. There are definitely trigger warnings that you should read for these books before you decide to read them, and I will say that now. It starts off very graphic, and the first couple of books are quite graphic. It does calm down and you do tend to enjoy it a little bit more. But I do think the story is phenomenal. It's like a retelling of the King Midas story, if you guys have ever heard of that. If not, check that out. But I won't say too much because I don't want to fully ruin these books for people. I am planning on filming a review of this. I am planning to film a review of this series. I'm umming and ahhing about whether to wait until the 5th one is out. I think I probably will, because then we've just got a complete set to review rather than just reviewing the 4 I've got. But let me know what you think, or whether you'd like to have a review of the 4 and then of the 5th. Let me know in the comments. Ultimately, this has fantastic world building, great storyline, which is always a bonus, and just something a little bit different. I will warn, if you're not a fan of spice or if you are not a fan of graphic books, maybe avoid this one. But if you do like those things, these are fantastic. And this was I struggled to figure out how to summarize this series, so I took a summary of the first book from Goodreads for you. And it says, at At the age of 15, Aurum was a homeless girl and a victim of child trafficking until MAAS saved her. For 10 years, she shows her gratitude to her saviour, even if it keeps her in a gilded prison. Even if he marries another woman for power, and even if he uses her as a bargaining tool. But overall, I absolutely loved this series. And there we have it, guys. That is my review of 3 series that are a great read if you enjoyed Sarah J Maas's books. I chose series because that's just a preference for me. I prefer to read series over standalone because I like to have the time to get into a more complete series. And I kind of figured that if you guys like Sarah J Maas, then you probably are a fan of series yourself. But thank you so much for watching this video. Excitingly, this is going to be the last time I'm stood in front of my little shelf because I'm finally building a new bookcase. I'm so friggin' excited. This has been a very long time coming. It's been a lot of logistics. So please make sure you're subscribed and you have your notifications turned on, because next week I'm going to be uploading my building my bookshelf video, and I will also be trying to do a organising my bookshelf video as well. So make sure those are all turned on and ready so that you don't miss out on those videos. But until next time, as always guys, thank you for watching and happy reading.